lesson 8.5, which now we are dealing with the area of composite shapes. And the one thing I want you guys to understand is the word composite in this instance is a bunch of shapes combined together or multiple shapes kind of put together. And how would I find the area of that? Okay, and so we're going to go into that into detail. Hopefully you guys can understand this stuff. If you need any help along the way, hit that pause button and let me know if you need any help. Okay, let's jump into it. All right, so real quick, what I just said a while ago, the area of composite shapes is basically looking at one specific shape given to you and trying to cut it into multiple pieces so it'll help me find the area of that shape. So for instance, in this first part right here, I am given this shape right now, which is looks like kind of an L shaped here. But if we look at it, one way you can see it is that could be equal to, if you look, if I draw a line right here, okay, that's going to give me a rectangle on the bottom and then also a rectangle on top right here kind of combined together. So if you look at that, those pieces combined together is I would end up finding the area of this rectangle right here. And then I would end up finding the area of this rectangle right here. So when I find the area of both of those, I'm basically just going to add it together, and that's going to give me the full area of that. Okay, so that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is taking out. So if you look, I have an L shaped here, but if I look right here, I can complete that shape if I wanted to. So if I actually took a different color here and I wanted to complete this puzzle here, I could basically, I'm given a rectangle. So I could find the area of that rectangle, the whole thing, and then just subtract out the smaller area of that rectangle. So for instance, if I was to color this out, this guy would end up coloring out right here, okay? And I'm basically just subtracting that little piece out. So I would find the area of the rectangle, and then I would end up subtracting that piece out of the puzzle, okay? So that's one way to look at it. Two different ways, just basically taking a composite shape, seeing the shapes that make up that, and then adding those areas together to get the full area, okay? So let's take this kind of idea and apply it to our examples and hopefully can figure this thing out, okay? So let's jump into it. All right, so look at example number 1. It wants me to find the area of this figure. So right now I'm given kind of two shapes that are already formed here that are giving me two different figures. So the thing that I like to do when I'm doing composite figures is I go ahead and write out what two shapes I have. Then that'll help me to kind of figure out what formulas I need to plug in. And then I'm going to use those formulas to help me to find the total area. So right now, if I look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is going to be a hexagon. So that means I need to take the area of a hexagon. And I'm going to add, and down here, this is just going to be a basic rectangle. So I'm going to add the area of a rectangle. So this is what I'm going to add together. So right now, if you look, this is a regular hexagon, okay? That means all of my sides are congruent and all of my angles are congruent. So I know to find the area of a regular polygon, I'm going to take 1/2 the apothem times the perimeter. So again, I just replace the word hexagon with the area of that hexagon, okay? So now over here on the rectangle, I'm going to add the area of a rectangle. Well, I know the area of a rectangle is just base times the height. So I'm going to add the base times the height of that rectangle, okay? So here's going to be the complete formula of what I'm going to use to find the area of this composite figure. So let's go and plug in what I know. So right now, 1/2 looks like my apothem from the center to the edge of my shape here is going to be 15. And then to find the perimeter, I know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. And I'm going to multiply that by one side length, which is 25. So ladies and gentlemen, this guy right here is going to find the area of my hexagon, okay? So now I need to add the area of my rectangle. Well, I know each one of these sides is 25, so that means this side right now is one of the sides of the hexagon, so this is going to be 25. So I literally just have to do base times the height. So I'm going to do the base times the height, which is 110. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the area of the hexagon, area of my rectangle. When I multiply these two out and put them together, that's going to give me the total area of my composite figure. So whenever I end up working this whole thing out, that's going to give me a final measurement of 3,875 centimeters squared. Remember, we are doing area. So we have to do in squared units. So ladies and gentlemen, adding the hexagon area, adding the rectangle area, put those together, that gives me this total area of the composite figure, okay? So let's go ahead and take this same thing and jump over to example number 2. All right, look at example number 2. So it says we need to find the area of the figure, and what it's telling me is the two trapezoids are congruent to each other. So that automatically tells me that if I find the area of one of these trapezoids, I can literally just add that same area together to get the total of those two, or I can just multiply times 2. So that's what I can go and think of in my formula. So I'm taking two trapezoids that are congruent and I'm multiplying those times 2. So I'm going to do 2 times the area of that trapezoid, because I'm going to have 2 of the same trapezoids, okay? And then I need to add, and it looks like in the middle I'm given a rectangle. So I'm going to add a rectangle to that. So again, I am doing 2 areas of a trapezoid, and then I'm adding a rectangle to the end. So 2 trapezoids and a rectangle. And that's going to give me the total area of this composite figure matched together. So I know the area of a trapezoid, so I'm going to do 2 times the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 the height. Then I'm going to do base 1 plus base 2, correct? So right there inside that is going to give me the area of one of those trapezoids. Then I'm going to multiply it times 2, which is going to be the area of both of those. Then I'm just going to add the area of a rectangle, which is going to be base times height. So I'm just taking the pieces of this area and plugging it into what exactly that shape is going to be. So let's go ahead and look at that. So right now I'm just going to plug in what I know of the trapezoid. So right now I'm doing 2 times 1/2. It looks like the height of my trapezoid here is going to be 20, okay? And then I'm going to take both of my bases and add those together. So it looks like down here my base is 18 and my base down here is 30. So I'm just going to do 18 plus 30, okay? And then this is going to end up giving me the area of my 2 trapezoids just by that piece over there. So now I'm going to add the height of my rectangle is going to be 22, and it looks like the base is going to be 18 because it matches that base of that trapezoid there. So I'm literally just going to do 18 times 22. So ladies and gentlemen, area of my 2 trapezoids, area of my rectangle, I'm going to add them together. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So after I multiply this whole thing out, it's going to end up giving me 1,356. And remember, we're dealing with area, so that's going to be centimeters squared. So again, 2 trapezoids, 1 rectangle, add it all together, gives me 1,356 centimeters squared. Let's jump over to example number 3. All right, so on example number 3, it says Robinson is buying new turf for the football field. The shape below is to be covered with the turf. If turf cost 75 cents per square foot, what would be the total cost be for the new turf? So this is something that you might end up using one day when you get your new yard and you need to find out how much square footage of that yard is, or you need to find out how much square footage of your house you needed to carpet, just different things that you can actually take this and apply to some real life situations. This is kind of what we're dealing with here. So let's go and look at this. So I need to cover this entire thing with turf, and I need to figure out the total cost. So the first thing I need to find is the total area. So it looks like right here, I am given a rectangle. So I need to take a rectangle. And then I'm gonna add, if I look, I have a half of a circle here and a half of a circle here that are gonna have the same measurement here. And if I combine those together, that's gonna end up giving me a full circle. So that means I just need to find the area of a circle. And that's going to end up giving me the total area of the whole space. So let's go and look at that. The rectangle, I know, is just going to be base times height, right? Then I need to add the area of a circle, which is just going to be pi r squared, okay? So right now, base and height, base of my rectangle is 300. The height is going to be 150. So 300 and then 150. And I'm going to add the radius of the circle. So I know if I combine these, the radius of my circle is going to be 1/2 the length of this side right now. So that means I'm going to do pi times half of 150 is going to give me 75. and I'm gonna square that, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, area by rectangle, area by full circle, I'm gonna combine those together to make the area of the whole thing. If I end up multiplying all this out and adding, that's gonna give me 62,671.5, and that's gonna be feet squared. So I know it's gonna be 75 cents per square foot. So literally what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the square footage and I'm gonna multiply that by 0.75 or 75 cents. And whenever I do that, my total, because it doubled it. My total is gonna come out to be $47,003.60 would be the total to re-turf that whole field. So this is a real situation, taking a composite figure, finding my total area, then multiplying that times what it is per square foot, and that's gonna be the total amount it's gonna cost to resurface that whole turf. Let's jump over to example number 4. All right, and lastly on example number 4, it wants me to find the area of the shaded region. So the first thing we need to kind of analyze is what specifically is happening here. So if I had a sheet of paper, it looks like somebody took a rectangle and they look like they cut out 2 circles of that. So if I think cutting out something would be subtracting from the problem, correct? So that means I'm gonna end up subtracting something here. So let's go and look into that. So right now I know the whole thing is going to be a rectangle. And it looks like I'm cutting out 2 congruent circles. So I'm gonna multiply 1 circle times 2, but I'm gonna put the area of that circle. So 2 area of circles is what I'm gonna be looking at here, okay? So let's go and plug in my formulas, plug in everything I need into the formula, and then solve for what I need. So here we go. So the area of a rectangle I know is gonna be base times height, and then I'm gonna end up subtracting the 2 circles. So I'm gonna do 2 times pi r squared. So right now the base of my rectangle is gonna be 50. The height of my rectangle is gonna be 32. And it looks like the radius of my circle is gonna be 8. So I'm gonna subtract 2 times pi times 8 squared. So ladies and gentlemen, area of a rectangle, I'm subtracting the area of 2 circles here. So let's go and work that out. Make sure I have that correct. Okay, so whenever I type that in and work that out, it's gonna come out to be 1,197.88 centimeters squared is gonna be my shaded region of my shape here, okay? So make sure you guys analyze and look at what you need to and understanding the situation. Please, if you guys are needing any help, please holler at me and let me know.